Hey there, it's Dr. Mary Barbera here for my 8th day in a row of live shows talking all about autism and my new book, Turn Autism Around, an action guide for parents of young children with early signs of autism. So, if you are here and you can hear me, today is all about increasing talking. And I'm just going to pull some more friends in here and we will get started. So if you can hear me, go ahead and let me know. And we will do our 8th live broadcast. Hi there, it's Dr. Mary Barbera here, and we are live for our 8th day straight. We're going to talk about my new book, Turn Autism Around, an action guide for parents of young children with early signs of autism. We're specifically going to talk about how to increase talking. And this is in a few chapters of the book. It's kind of weaved in the whole thing. If you are here, if you can leave me a comment, and let me know if you have any questions about how to increase talking in kids with autism or in kids with signs of autism, like speech delays, failure to respond to their name. I've done now 8 shows back-to-back live, so if you want to know about the early signs, you want to know about safety and assessment and planning and goal selection, you can scroll back and look at my lives from the last week, and you should be able to see. And a better idea would be to go ahead and pre-order my book. It's not quite available yet, but you can go to turnautismaround.com and you can pre-order the book and join our launch team and get lots of bonuses, including the first 2 chapters. And we're going to drop the 3rd chapter very soon as well. So the book is for parents of young children, 1 to 5, with signs of autism, and it's also for parents of older kids who are functioning in some areas, talking, tantrums, eating, sleeping, potty training, going to the doctor, dentist, haircuts. If you have an older child functioning, having functioning problems in any of those areas, the book will also be helpful. And it's also going to be super helpful for professionals, especially early intervention professionals. We have lots of grandmothers in our group as well. So Tina said, speech delay and doesn't respond to his name, help. So we're going to talk about speech delays tonight. I will make a note to cover response to name. But please know that you can, after this live broadcast, you can go ahead and search Mary Autism plus whatever topic you're interested in, response to name, for instance. I have a whole procedure that's in both of my books. It's in the Verbal Behavior Approach book. It's in my new book, Turn Autism Around. And I also have a video blog on it. So you will be able to solve that problem, or at least begin to solve the problem. It may take a little bit more than you just watching a video blog, but there is help. Okay. Okay, so we have a couple, not a single word here. And I pre-ordered your book and I'm taking your course. So I have online courses too. I have 2 online courses. I have one for parents and early intervention professionals trying to help toddlers or preschoolers. And then I also have a verbal behavior bundle course, which is for professionals who have a wide range of clients, or for parents of older kids. That's kind of where I would start. So that's great, Tina, that you're taking my course. And since you are taking my course and you have a question about response to name, that would be something that you can ask in our private group as well, and we will help you. Okay, tonight we are going to, tonight we're going to cover a common problem with little kids. And I don't know, I posted a couple places, but there is a recent New York Times article written by a physician who is stating that diagnosing autism in 1 to 3 year olds, or trying to help 1 to 3 year olds in times of the pandemic, are especially tough, because these 1 to 3 year olds have spent, in many cases, more than half of their lives in isolation due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And they are being isolated. They're not being brought to the grocery store. They're not being brought to the library circle story time. They're not attending preschools or daycares in some situations. They're not going to visit grandparents and uncles and aunts and cousins. And therefore, they are more socially isolated than toddlers and preschoolers were a year prior. And already toddlers and preschoolers, 1 in every 6 children will go on to have some kind of developmental disorder, including autism or ADHD or a learning disability or speech disorder. So it was an emergency. The early signs of autism are an emergency. That's the chapter title of chapter 1 of my book. But now they're really an emergency, and it's really a problem. So one of the issues is, and my son, I fell into the autism world 2 decades ago, and my son did have some words, but at the time I knew zero about how to help him. And that's really why I wrote my new book, because he had some words. I call them now pop-out words because they pop out. But unless your child is spontaneously imitating and putting words together by age 2, speaking in one word utterances by age 1, and putting 2 words and sentences together by 2 and 3, they're going to fall far behind. So there's lots of techniques in my book, and I would say the first thing you need to do when you're following the Turn Autism Around approach, which is a child-friendly approach based on the science. It's also based on my experiences as a mom, a registered nurse, a behavior analyst with a PhD. The biggest part is you follow the 4 steps of the Turn Autism Around approach, which is assessment is the first step. So in chapter 8, I talk about Michelle, who had a little 2-year-old who was diagnosed right as the COVID shutdown was happening. She had a speech therapy evaluation, which showed her daughter was functioning on one test at a 0 to 3-month-old level, even though she was almost 2. She got a diagnosis of autism right before 2, and she was going to be starting an ABA program, but the world shut down. And so Michelle was at home with her 2-year-old and a newborn baby, and no services. So she took my online course and applied all these strategies. And one of the strategies is to really get an assessment. So say your child does have these pop-out words or even babbling sounds. Maybe they say ba 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 for bottle or dada for daddy. And this would be the assessment that you could do at home tonight perhaps, is to write down, set a timer for either 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour. Michelle set a timer for an hour, and she sat there, and her daughter had 2 pop-out words, mommy and doggy, or mom and doggy, or something like that. And she implemented the program. And within 33 days, she did another language sample, again, set the timer for an hour. And the child, now 25 and a half months of age, she, in that hour, she had 180 words, and some of them were in little short phrases. With contractions and pronouns and prepositions and colors and all kinds of things. And Michelle basically followed the steps of my program. Now, one of the really key things, the number one way that I get kids talking or talking more, is to slow things down. And instead of saying, Johnny, let's go outside and you can play on the swing, and that's something he really likes, and he's standing by the door in anticipation, instead of saying all that language, Johnny, let's go outside, just take the door and say open or out, or swing, 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 and open the door, and he'll get to go on the swing or he'll get to go out. You can use this technique, the 1 word times 3 strategy, and it's up to 3 times. If he echoes you and says out right away, boom. Even if he says ow, and it's kind of sort of like an out for him, open the door. Do the same thing if he wants a banana, 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 banana. If he says nana or Anna, give it to him. And this is the way we get more pop-out words. And all of the procedures in my online course and in this book are broken down so that we begin to get language. And only when we have really spontaneous 2-word utterances can we really talk about teaching higher level skills, which is in chapter 9. Okay, what happens if inattention is inconsistent? Yeah, well, if you're getting problem behaviors, including inattention, flopping on the ground, crying, whining, that tells us that the demands are too high and or reinforcement is too low. So you really want to take a step back and think, if I was given $1,000 for my child to have a good day or a good hour or a good 15-minute session, what would I have to do? I'd have to really increase the reinforcement and lower the demands. So sometimes inattention is really just a lack of reinforcement and demands that are too hard. Okay. And Rosa said, I'm doing this for 2-3 months, still not a word comes out. You have to also remember that even typically developing kids can sometimes have pop-out words and not have a coex. Like you say ball, they say ball. You say I love you, they say. Even typically developing kids may not start to really blossom with language until after age 2. So some kids can be preemies. Some kids can have other things like apraxia. It's not, yes, that is one of the steps. But if they don't, that's not the only step within the book and within my courses and within my 4-step approach. So another question is, can your book help if a child who is only babbling, no words anymore, just sounds? Absolutely. Most of my clients, most of my online participants start out with really no words. So there's all kinds of skills you can still teach, and you can teach words, and you can teach language, and you can teach sign language and imitation and play. The other part of language is receptive ability, which we'll talk about maybe tomorrow on our live. I just wanted to kind of jump on here and give you some. Okay. Lula says, hey, Mary, what can I be expecting on speech for a toddler of 17 months? My boy just obsessed with numbers and shapes. He's most of the numbers until 10, says square and circle, but not social words like mama and daddy. Yeah, so by 17 months of age, you'd have to look at the CDC Act Early website, which you can Google, but a child of that age should be talking 1-word utterances, but not just reciting letters and numbers. That's called hyperlexia, and you can search for that. It's in my new book, Hyperlexia. But we need to teach the child to say hi. We need to teach the child to engage with a parent and not be fixated on letters and numbers. So while that any language is good, we'll take it, but it needs to be shaped and it needs to be much more social. So you can also look at my live from a couple nights ago where I talked about the early signs of autism, and obsessing over numbers and letters is unfortunately one of the signs. It doesn't mean he has autism. Some gifted kids are hyperlexic, and some autistic kids go on to be gifted too. It's very confusing, and there's a lot of overlap between issues with kids with autism and kids with other learning challenges. Okay. I would like to know about functional pointing. We are working on our 2-year-old son, almost 1 year, but it doesn't work. I have a bonus video on pointing within my courses. I talk about pointing within my book. And I also did a video blog on that, I believe. So after this live, you can search Mary Autism Pointing. Okay, Bobby said we are very behind in the UK. It feels like living in a third world country. Few speech therapists, no help or support from the corrupt government. We did have one of our members in our online course. She was waiting for a speech evaluation for 18 months in the UK. She was told to get in line for 18 months just for a speech evaluation. She took my course when her son was only 21 months of age, and she really completely turned things around. To the point where she did not feel like she needed an evaluation anymore. So I would encourage you, to really take action. In my book, I talk about how I want to empower parents to become the captain of the ship. We have parents and professionals from over 80 countries who have taken our online courses. So, it's never too early, never too late. You can learn the techniques to turn things around. New here, what is your book about, and is your book on Amazon? Yes, my book is on Amazon. If you go to turnautismaround.com after this live, you can watch a 2-minute trailer about the book, and you can find out how to pre-order and join our launch team. Is there a way to join the pre-order launch team other than Facebook? Yeah, you can just sign up for the bonuses. But right now we're delivering our bonuses within the Facebook group. So I'm trying to think if there's another way you can get the bonuses. We are going to be sending emails, though, as we get closer to the launch date, which is March 30th. So go ahead and pre-order. It's going to be here before you know it, March 30th. So you do want to get your copy. It's going to be in hardback, on Kindle, and on Audible. I did read the book, which was actually quite fun. Okay. So we have, a lot of people here who are, worried, waiting. Many of you have said that you've already pre-ordered the book. Lula says, thanks very much. He's being diagnosed and I'm taking your course. Thanks. Excellent. And Lily Daisy's here. Excellent. We are on day 8 and Lily has not missed a Facebook Live. She's also in my online courses and community. So I think I'm going to hop off for tonight. It is 7:15 here. We're about to turn our clocks ahead over the weekend, so I'm looking forward to that, getting more lightness in the day. Really excited about my book. I was on WGN TV in Chicago last week. I just got a couple more radio shows and TV appearances, so it's going to be an all-out push in the next couple of weeks to get the word out about Turn Autism Around. So I'm super excited, super grateful that you are here spending your time with me, and we'll be seeing you tomorrow night for another episode, another live show. So thanks a lot. Have a great night. Bye.